At exactly 6:00 p.m., Britain expected to see King Charles or Queen Camilla. Instead, the screen lit up with Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, sitting alone in a plain office. There was no throne, no guard of honor, and no grand royal backdrop. William looked directly at the camera and said, "The monarchy is not just a symbol, it is a responsibility." Kate followed with an even sharper message. "This is not about tradition, it is about trust." Those two sentences changed the entire mood of the announcement. Earlier that day, the official royal website had posted only one line: a formal announcement would be made at 8 p.m. That was all. Trusted reporters received no guidance. Royal correspondents had no prepared notes. Phones rang across London as journalists tried to discover whether the news involved a health crisis, a resignation, or a major change in succession. Then another detail became impossible to ignore. William and Kate had missed a public event earlier that same day. At first, their absence seemed minor. After the notice appeared, it looked significant. If the announcement belonged to the king, Charles would normally speak. If it involved the Queen, Camilla would likely be present. But when the moment arrived, the spotlight moved directly to William and Kate. William did not speak like an heir waiting quietly for his turn. He spoke like a man already accepting responsibility for the future. Kate did not offer a sentimental message about royal history. She spoke about public confidence. Together, they presented a different idea of monarchy, one based less on ceremony and more on visible service. Then, Kate revealed the announcement that would dominate headlines around the world. She introduced the Diana Initiative, a global nonprofit organization inspired by the values associated with Princess Diana: kindness, honesty, compassion, and the belief that people in pain should never be treated as background figures. The project was not presented as another memorial. There would be no focus on flowers outside Kensington Palace, no annual tribute limited to August, and no attempt to freeze Diana in the past. Kate described a living mission. Diana's name would not simply be remembered. It would be used to support real people in real communities. The Diana Initiative would focus on women's shelters, low-income neighborhoods, families facing domestic violence, children dealing with bereavement, and communities often ignored by institutions. Kate promised to visit the places where help was most urgently needed. She would sit with survivors, listen to parents speak with young people, and meet local workers who understood the problems better than anyone in a palace office. There would be no dependence on red carpets or staged photographs. The message was direct. Royal service had to become useful again. The difference was power. Diana often challenged the royal system from a painful and isolated position. Kate was acting from inside the institution with the authority of a future queen. Diana had used compassion to resist. Kate was using compassion to lead. The reaction outside the palace was immediate. Social media filled with praise. Supporters called Kate the People's Queen. News outlets described William and Kate. Crowds gathered outside Kensington Palace, carrying flowers and handwritten notes. Donations flowed into related charities. Thousands of volunteers reportedly registered to help. There was no immediate statement from King Charles. There was no public message of support from Queen Camilla. No official photograph appeared showing unity. The silence became a story of its own. According to palace sources cited in the story, Charles was caught completely off guard. When he learned what William and Kate had announced, he reportedly asked, "What did they do?" The question sounded less like anger than shock from a king who had spent his life preparing for the throne and suddenly saw public attention moving somewhere else. Charles had waited decades to become monarch. He had built his identity around service, environmental causes, architecture, and long-term national responsibility. He had spoken about finding roughly 50 solutions over the next 10 years that could change how environmental challenges were handled. Yet in one evening, William and Kate created a wave of attention that seemed to eclipse the king's own agenda. Camilla's reaction was described as more unsettled. For years, she had worked to rebuild her reputation after the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage. Now, Diana's name was suddenly back at the center of royal life, attached not to an old controversy, but to a powerful new movement led by Kate. Some advisors, reportedly, wanted the initiative brought under palace control. They wanted it viewed, managed, and softened. Others warned that any attempt to take it over would look bitter and jealous. If the palace tried to weaken a charity carrying Diana's name, public sympathy would move even more strongly toward William and Kate. William understood exactly what that silence meant. According to one account, he told a close-eyed, "This is not a discussion, it is a strategy." He was not asking for approval. He was moving forward with a plan. The tension became public at a charity event when Camilla was asked about the Diana initiative. Her answer was unusually sharp. She said the monarchy had always served with dedication and did not need to invoke the past to prove it. Within hours, the comment spread across newspapers and social media. Many interpreted it as a direct criticism of Kate. Kate responded later that same week at an event connected to the initiative. Calmly, she said, "This work is not about the past. It is about the future we built together." A few days later, the conflict reached Clarence House. King Charles called William and senior aides into a private meeting. Charles demanded to know why he had not been fully briefed. He described the launch as a breach of royal protocol. William did not apologize. He reportedly answered, "This is not about protocol, it is about survival." That sentence revealed the real disagreement. Charles believed the monarchy survived through caution, structure, and respect for established authority. William believed it could survive only by moving faster than the crisis around it. Soon leaks began appearing in the press. Sources close to Charles described William as impulsive and warned that he was risking the monarchy's image. Reporters, friendly to William, answered that the king was trapped in the past and disconnected from the country. What had begun as a charity announcement now looked like a transfer of influence. William instructed his team to continue the Diana initiative without direct palace control. Charles was quoted by a friend as saying, "I have spent my life preparing for this, and now it is slipping away." That suspicion grew because the initiative was launched without the usual approval. William and Kate knew the palace would be surprised. They also knew that once the public embraced the project, it would be extremely difficult for Charles or Camilla to stop it. William and Kate visited shelters, joined discussions on climate and youth mental health, and listened instead of delivering long ceremonial speeches. They spoke about bullying, bereavement, domestic violence, family breakdown, and the struggles many young people face. But critics asked whether the project was also a calculated move. William and Kate were no longer simply the popular younger royals. They had become the face of charity, renewal, and the crown after Charles. The story goes further and argues that this rise did not happen without casualties. Harry and Meghan were described as the first people pushed away because they were too outspoken, too emotional, and too independent for the plan William and Kate wanted to build. Prince Harry's response to the Diana initiative should have created unity. He called it "Mum's Legacy in Action." The phrase brought even more international attention to the project. Behind the scenes, however, William reportedly felt blindsided. According to insiders, the brothers had a tense phone call. William accused Harry of stepping into the story without speaking to him first. He allegedly told him, "You cannot just jump in now," and suggested Harry was using the initiative to remain relevant. Harry did not back down. In an American interview a few days later, he said, "Diana's work belonged to everyone, not just the palace. The public divided immediately. Some praised Harry for speaking from the heart. Others believed he had made the family conflict worse. Memes spread online with the phrase, "Same mother, different fight." Harry has said that he loves William deeply, but that there has been great pain between them, especially during the last 6 years. He has also insisted that his writing was never intended to hurt his family. Yet every public statement exposed how deep the wounds remained. His memoir, Spare, had already revealed the most shocking example. Harry described a physical confrontation in which William arrived angry over Meghan. According to Harry, William called Meghan difficult, rude, and abrasive. The argument escalated. William grabbed Harry by the collar, tore his necklace, and knocked him to the floor. Harry landed on a dog bowl, which broke beneath him and injured his back. Harry said. William challenged him to fight back. He refused. William left, then returned later looking regretful. But the damage was done. The fight reflected the competition, Harry said, had always existed between the heir and the spare. William was moving toward the throne. Harry believed there was less room for anyone who challenged the approved image of the future monarchy. Harry also accused palace staff of leaking negative stories about him and Meghan while William and Kate remained silent. He argued that some family members made agreements with the press to protect their own reputations even when others paid the price. According to Tom Quinn's book, Yes, Ma'am, The Secret Life of Royal Servants, the conflict happened only days before Harry and Meghan's wedding. Princess Charlotte's dress did not fit properly. Kate sent Meghan a message. What began as a practical problem quickly became emotional. One palace employee claimed both women were crying their eyes out. Yet the public story soon became that Meghan had made Kate cry. Meghan later told Oprah Winfrey that the opposite had happened and that she had been the one left in tears. Kate never publicly corrected the original report. The story spread. Meghan became the villain, and Kate appeared calm and dignified. Some sources in the video suggest the account was shaped before being leaked so that Kate would look sympathetic and Meghan would look unstable. After that incident, Meghan's position appeared to shrink. She was invited to fewer important occasions. Staff treated her with cold politeness. In photographs, she often looked isolated. At the same time, Kate's status continued to rise. The argument was no longer just about a child's dress. It became, in the video's telling, the first visible step in a quiet removal. Kate did not need to attack Meghan openly. She only needed to remain silent while the headlines did the work. Eventually, Harry and Meghan left their roles as senior working royals. Their exit created more room for William and Kate to become the uncontested younger face of the monarchy. Camilla is not expected to surrender her influence easily. She waited years to become queen. She endured public anger, painful comparisons with Diana, and constant doubts about whether the country would ever accept her. A source quoted by US Weekly claimed that Camilla had always wanted to be queen and was not ready to give the position up to Kate. King Charles is battling cancer and may need to reduce some public duties. Camilla is expected to remain active, but the question is what happens when William eventually becomes king. Royal expert Angela Levin has said that Camilla helped guide Kate when she first entered royal life. On the surface, their relationship appears respectful. Behind the scenes, reports suggest the bond may be more strained than supportive. Robert Hardman, author of Charles III, New King, New Court, has argued that Camilla could continue serving after the transition, but probably in a reduced role. That possibility is exactly what may concern her. William has made clear that he wants a smaller, more modern monarchy. Kate is becoming the most trusted woman in the royal family. Every successful appearance, every charity visit, and every emotional connection with the public strengthens her future position. That is why the announcement at 6 p.m. mattered so much. It was not only the launch of a non-profit organization, it was a declaration that William and Kate would no longer wait quietly for the future to arrive. They stepped forward without a throne, without palace permission, and without the king standing behind them. The Diana Initiative gave them a mission the public could understand. It connected Kate to the most emotionally powerful name in modern royal history. It allowed William to present himself as a leader focused on survival rather than protocol. It forced Charles and Camilla to react to a future already being built around them. For supporters, William and Kate are saving the monarchy by making it more honest, compassionate, and successful. For critics, they are carrying out a calculated takeover, using public trust and Diana's legacy to replace the old order before Charles is ready to release it. The palace once controlled the timing, the message, and the people allowed to speak. At exactly 6 p.m., William and Kate proved that control was no longer absolute.